All right. Welcome to our fourth lesson of this month. And we have traveled quite distance, not so much, but here we are. We have started a garden, we have learned a lot about it, and now we have to think from the gardener to becoming a chef, from the planting and the plants to plating that on our plates and into our bodies to see the benefits of the labor that we have put into this whole thing. So, as you all know, I am Nada Corey. I'm the founder and president of the Joseph P. Corey Foundation. This is the beautiful picture of the environment where I grew up in Croatia, in the countryside. And that's where pretty much everything that I do originates from. My grandparents and my life there has instilled everything that I'm sharing with you today. And this is the season of the fall over there, so they are doing plenty of chestnut roasting. As you can see, this is an actual picture from my family's estate where they're roasting chestnuts at this time. So today's focus is when and how to harvest, okay? And then what do you do with what you have harvested? And then we're going to talk about a little bit of our cultural influences and what does that mean, and start thinking like a chef. So let me just recap a bit in what we have learned so far and what we have touched on. And here is a beautiful calendar of your gardening. So what do you do in August and September? You plan, you prepare what you're going to plant, where you're going to plant it. You gather all your stuff together, your good soil, your nutrients, and your seeds. And then in October, you have now some seedlings growing, which will be ready to be replanted into a garden or a pot or wherever you want to replant it. So this is the perfect time. We are in the perfect time of doing that, of replanting our seedlings into the soil where we want it to continue growing. In December, we will harvest. There will be a lot of things that we can harvest, and it will go from there on, right? From December, January, and onward. And then towards the end of our growing season, which would be in other areas of the world now, right, fall. But for us, it will be sometime in February, March, and so on. What do you do with an abundance of it? What can you do with all of that you've harvested? So this is it in a recap. And let's go to understanding what are the signs that the plants are giving us, or the herbs are giving us, that they're ready to be harvested. So we have planted the seeds, right? We've sown it directly into the soil, into the garden from the packets. The packets on themselves have a growing time. So every individual plant that you planted, every seed on the packet, it says how long will it take until something happens, okay? So the seedlings, when you buy seedlings, of course, you are in an advantage because they will continue to grow and produce fruit much quicker. If anything goes into flowering, and I've said that before, so if your herb's going to flowering or your vegetables going to flowering, something is changing and something is happening, okay? So when the herbs go into the flowering, you want to, if you want to continue growing your herbs, you want to prevent that, so you're going to snip that top part off. You can save the flower and use it in a tea or an infusion, but it will prevent the plant to go and give all its energy into the flower and then eventually die off because it is reproducing itself in that moment, right? With the vegetables, when they bloom, where there is a flower, then the fruit follows. Just the same, just with the herbs. In the herbs, we're getting the seeds. In the vegetables, we're getting the tomatoes, we're getting cucumbers, we're getting peppers, and I hope that you know that if you have planted sweet potatoes, if you planted potatoes, when they bloom, the fruit is growing underneath the soil. It's not going to grow above. Okay, so it might be a surprise when you're going to clean out the bed after you have had a summer long growing of sweet potato, that there will be an abundance of sweet potatoes growing in that spot. When the vegetables that are grown organically, they tend to be a bit smaller and not all plump and plopped up and pretty looking like the GMO ones, okay? So that doesn't mean that they are less value. Actually, they are much more value, okay? So this is it about the pinching, trimming, and cutting, and you allow the fruit, like the tomato or the pepper or whatever you're growing, to fully grow and have a full color, and not pick it when it's small and green. It still requires a little more growing time. Okay, so that's regarding the growing. What do I cook and what do I store? That's a good question. Basically, I would suggest that whatever you can utilize fresh is always the best because it contains the most potency. The herbs, if you dehydrate them, they will continue with having the potency because just the water content is taken out of them, and you store them in a dry jar or bag, and you can continue using them, and they will continue being potent and delivering what they're supposed to. Some of the vegetables you can if you like to can. You can freeze. You can dehydrate and have a healthy snack by dehydrating whatever you want to dehydrate. So I don't know if you're familiar with kale chips, for example, right? That's an example of dehydrating a healthy vegetable and making it a healthy snack. So if you have a dehydrator, or you can do it in your oven just at low temperature, you would wash the leaves, and then you would create a nice seasoning or a paste that you would spread over, put it in the dehydrator, and voila, you have an amazing, healthy snack for you. And for the children, they love that, okay? So then you can also create things like pestos, where you get your basil and parsley or any of these beautiful leafy herbs, and add some pine nuts to that. You can add some garlic, some good salt and pepper and olive oil, and put it in a blender, and there you go. You create a paste which is called pesto. And you can store that in the refrigerator, in the freezer. You use it on a daily basis. It's concentrate now, so you just take a spoonful into whatever you're cooking at the end, not cooking it anymore, because then you're going to destroy the potency, right? So put it at the end after you're done cooking your sauce or whatever, and just mix it in gently. So these are some of the ways of what you can do with what you have grown in your garden. And the next is, what's the next slide? Okay. So how to think like a chef. So cooking and prepping, of course, that is a process. There are lots of videos out there where great chefs are sharing their expertise and the combinations of different herbs and vegetables, and maybe infusing some fruits in there and so on. So there is a lot of information out there. But yes, it requires some work. But what you can do, you can dedicate one of your days, whether it's your Sunday or Monday, whatever it is, and prep a whole bunch of vegetables, chop them, and have them ready in Ziploc bags in the refrigerator. So you have your ingredients for whatever you're going to cook every single day. Or you have your ingredients for a healthy salad, which is right there, ready to be just tossed with your beautiful dressing, and the kids or anybody can just get to it and mix it together and have a healthy meal from that. So dedicate a day or two to prepping and putting in the refrigerator, and you have it all ready, and it's easy to put together when you're ready to cook. So that's that component. And Lisa, what's the next? Oh, different cooking techniques. Again, there is plenty of videos on learning how to chop and prep and uh, utilize your cooking techniques. I would always I would always start with fresh ways of eating. So as much as possible raw. I wouldn't go straight to the grill or frying pan. I would go to the blender, to the dehydrator. I would chop things. I would broil things and just blanch things, which is just briefly putting it. I prefer to steam than to blanch. So I put some of my vegetables, like cauliflower, broccoli, or any of that into my steamer, steam it for a couple minutes, and it is beautifully broken down and easy to eat. If you like grilling, you can of course grill your vegetables. I see there's a picture of an eggplant there. That's a shady vegetable. That I like to put some salt on it after I've sliced it and put it in water and let it sit for a bit. It will pull out the bitterness from the eggplant, and it will be much tastier after that. So that's pretty much it. So if you have more questions, we have a lot of videos on our foundation's website where you can see a lot of cooking videos, cooking with Nada. So if you go to the josephbcoreyfoundation.org and also sign up with us with the newsletter, you have access to all of our videos, including the Cooking with Nada, which has plenty of good recipes for you. And here's one of them. This is a recipe that is perfect for this time of the year and for the holiday of Thanksgiving. You probably know the story of the three sisters, which is connected to that, and that's what we teach in the schools with the kids. And then we create this corn salsa with them in a joint venture with the story of the three sisters as well. It is fun and easy and very colorful as well, easy to make. We have a video of it. If we have time, I think we will be able to play that video for you, and then you can see how we're making this corn salsa, which the children, by the way, that we shared it with, loved. So here you go. Oh, we can't hear anything, Lisa. I think you're muted, and that's probably why this is. Okay.
I did have to mute her earlier, so she'll just have to unmute herself.
Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. Okay. I guess it's Lisa, you have to unmute yourself.
Or she can send me the link and I can play the video.
Yeah. Okay, we cannot hear you, Lisa, at all, so you're muted. But in any case, can you hear us? Lisa, can you hear us? Okay. Lisa, can you hear us? You can unmute yourself. I see her talking, her lips are moving, but okay, nothing's happening. Obviously, she's going to send it to you, Carly. She is doing the email right now. Anyways, okay. It is fun and easy to do. And what we have on our next slide, once she is done doing that, we have a recipe format where you can where you can create your own recipes. So don't hesitate to be creative and put things together. Whatever you have in your garden and what you're growing, utilize it. Use the herbs that you love, use the vegetables that you love, and create. Be creative. Or engage your children with you. Maybe they will participate in that flavoring of whatever they would like to put into their salads. There are a lot of different um, cultural things that we bring in from our ancestry, and you will see that in many of the cultures that there is. Lisa, we cannot hear it. We cannot see it. Maybe you
No,
can go back to
nada,
the.
nada. It's on my screen. I was just waiting for you to finish talking, and I was going to play it.
Oh, go ahead. Play it.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay.
We have created a recipe. Actually, we have done this recipe for our children in the school,
We
right?
did. I was going to say that. They just love that. We took stuff from their harvest, and since Thanksgiving was all about harvesting, we put this together.
And what did we call it?
Corn salsa, Three Sisters, because there's a story about that.
All right, and which you can read on our website, thejosephbcoreyfoundation.org. Cooking with Nada, you have all the recipes there. But right now, Lisa is going to recreate this recipe for
I'm going to
us.
recreate this. Since we said the kids could do it, I think I can nail this. So I know we'll be posting a corn salsa recipe, so if I don't go in the order, that's okay. Basically, by the time we finish, it's going to be a beautiful rainbow of delicious corn salsa. So right now we have some corn. I know it says we can use fresh corn, but you can use frozen corn as well. And since we already suggested red onions, we mix them together and we are putting them in a bowl. Already red onions, hold on, and corn salsa. And we also have, next up, you can use a combination of red and green peppers.
Or orange peppers as
Or
well.
orange peppers. They have these really great
Rainbow
little bags of organic peppers, and they're multicolored. And we like teaching children about eating off of the rainbow. So the more colors that we have, the better. I know we have some delicious, it could be cilantro or parsley. Some people do not love cilantro. So it's up to you, your taste. We
From your garden, whatever you grow.
Exactly, whatever you're growing. We have some garlic.
Finely chopped.
Finely chopped. Actually, I minced it. You gave me that beautiful mincer.
Beautiful.
And again, a lot of seasoning is to taste. Some people like tons and tons of garlic. When we're working with kids, we're a little sensitive, and so we're careful. So we have our fruits, and we have zest and juice. So here's some lime zest. Also so beautiful.
Just make sure when you do zest that your fruit is organic, please. So it's no
Definitely.
sprayed.
The thinner, when you use the outside of something, you really want it organic. When you have something really big that's a thick skin, maybe not as critical. So before I even mix it in, I just want to show you how beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. And here's the juice of those limes. And then I mix the orange zest and juice together. So we have some orange zest and orange juice. So I'm just going to let this mix, and we say marinate. We like to let it, oh, I know I have plenty of stuff here. Actually, I noticed this is your olive oil.
Yes.
You didn't actually step on those olives, but I know you visited a region that had this olive oil, and you're very fond of it. I know I've bought some from you as well, and it is superb. So when people cook with olive oil, it's not as important as it is when you're actually making a preparation and putting the oil in itself, because then you're really tasting it in its full form on your tongue. So we want to be careful. So I'm just going to put a little oil in there.
And nutritionally, it is much more valuable when you put it in fresh.
Yeah.
So don't cook with olive oil, but add it on after you have finished your dish as a crowning to that.
The crowning glory. So some salt. So I have a couple of teaspoons of salt, and it's not the kind you buy that says iodized. It is natural salt, and we recommend that. You should be careful because it's not as salty as the blue container one, so you want to taste it. And then we have Nada's also, oh, sorry.
Well, it doesn't say it, but it is.
Nada makes
Here.
beautiful, here we go, she actually put it in her own container. This is Nada's lemon poppy.
Lemon pepper
Oh,
seasoning.
lemon pepper seasoning.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that in there as well and mix it up. I have to taste it because when we're finished with a recipe, we always like to taste it and see if it needs a little more salsa, spiciness, or if it's just right. Let's just see here. This is my personal opinion. I think it's delicious.
There you go. That was it. So we're having a lot of fun in the kitchen, and Lisa mentioned quite a few things that obviously came from my garden, right? So I collect all the rinds of the lemons and the limes and the oranges, and I dehydrate them, and then I grind them down and I pulverize them into powder and add a good salt and pepper to it. And I have my own seasoning. I love to use that on everything that I do. So that was a fun thing. So let's go back to our presentation here. And the next slide would be the recipe, I believe, which I mentioned. So this is a form of recipe, which Carly, if you like, you can print that out, and everybody can have it and utilize it if they like. Now, I mentioned to you about culture, our cultures. There are a lot of great things in the cultural cuisines. And I'm sure that everybody here on the call has some idea of what I'm talking about. So there was a slide about Croatia, which is the Mediterranean, which is very rich in all of these beautiful herbs like basil, rosemary, thyme, bay leaf, marjoram, melissa, oregano, sage, and lavender, and many, many more, which people like to use and infuse their food with. So each one of them has medicinal purposes. So, and then if you go to India, there is a lot of spices that are used. They love to use curry. They love to use ginger, for example. And the islands, they like some spice to it. They have these hot peppers and different kinds of spices. Why do these cultures kind of tend to go towards specifics? It is because of their environment and their body's need. You see, the people, they were so smart. They understood that nature has all the remedies that they needed. So if you are in a more moist environment, you would use things like curry and ginger, because ginger draws out the moisture from the body, and besides helping with the digestion process, and it also draws out moisture from the body so that those aches and pains in the joints kind of are alleviated. In Jamaica, all right, the islands, so you have orange peel that they use a lot, ginger again, aloe vera, right, which is awesome for the skin. Serasi, I'm not even familiar with this one. Sarsaparilla, fever grass, corn silk, dandelion, and nettle, soursop. Okay, dandelion and nettle I'm very familiar with because we use it here and we use it in Europe as well a lot. So dandelion is very healthy to help clean out our liver and help the process of having a healthy liver. It is bitter, and that bitterness from that plant helps in that healthy liver. I add it to my smoothie every day, or I juice it and include it in there. Nettle is well, for the children. When I grew up, if we were not behaving, my grandmother would pick a nettle and she would kind of just gently stroke our legs with it because it stings. Okay, so instead of getting a little slap on the butt or something, she would just use the nettle and sting us with that, so we would know that we shouldn't be doing that. But nettle has amazing properties. The roots were used for a tincture that you wash your hair with, and it nourishes the roots of your hair, and it makes your hair healthy, strong, and shiny. So it has many, many amazing properties as well. Orange peel is great. I mean, that's why I shared with you that recipe with the grapefruit and lemon peel, orange, all the citruses. Their skin is loaded with oils, with essential oils, which you can distill, and the inner rind, that white that we usually cut off, we should be eating because it has a lot of properties to prevent things like cancers and stuff like that from happening. So there is a reason why certain cultures use certain ingredients more and herbs more than others. And it has something to do with the environment and with our health and our body. So there is a whole plethora of things that, you know, we can discuss and learn about these different plants and ways of cooking. So, but that's another story for another day. I don't know if we have surpassed our time, but I think we have come to a conclusion of this lesson and this month of Color Week with you. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve you in this capacity. So if you have any questions, go ahead and let us know. And I'll try to find an answer for you. Anybody? I don't see anything. Carly, do you see anything?